So this is a response to a video I saw with, it was an interview with Donald Hoffman, and in general the work that Donald Hoffman does, where he's talking about the work that he does there at the University of California, I think it is. And the premise of his work is that what we perceive out there in the world is just a rendering within our own mind. And I think he's 100% correct about that. The problem that I run into with his hypothesis is that he leaves the responsibility of the rendering on the individual. And what that does, though, in a psychological point of view, is it leads a little bit towards oh crap, what's the word? The idea that, you're the only thing that exists in reality. I was gonna say nepotism, but that's not it. But whatever, I'll come back to that. But there's that idea that you live in this dream, and nothing else is real. It's like it's actually a virtual reality. And if you're in a virtual reality, then nothing else is real, unless you're in an interactive game, in which case the other things that you see are renderings of other players, within the game. And I think that's the part that he's missing within his theory, is where the other renderings come from. Because it sounds to me like he's saying that it's solely generated in your head. Like, I'm looking at a gentleman walking down the road right now, and according to his theory, that gentleman doesn't actually exist. I'm only, seeing that there might be an energy potential over there, and then rendering that energy potential, within my own mind space. And that's true. But he struggles with that because it doesn't seem to make sense. And I think the thing that he's missing is what we call intention. And I have a separate video about that where I talk about what intention is and what intention does and how intention is measurable. I wish there was a different phrase for it, a different term for it, and possibly as I go along I'll develop one. But my idea of intention is that is the force that draws or brings, or I hate the word manifest, but it manifests things from the non-real into the real. So that and the example that I use in one of my other videos is a tomato plant, or a tomato seed rather, and that within the tomato seed there's an intention of a tomato plant. And so what is the idea of a tomato plant, and tomatoes and more seeds and leaves and all those other sorts of things that go along with tomato plants are written in the code of that seed. And that seed needs to be plugged into, if we're using his example, it would be like a CD or a USB drive or something like that. And you plug it into the computer, and then, the computer starts to write the tomato plant. But in mine, it would be, the seed would be, like a CD or USB drive that you put in the ground. And you apply nutrients and moisture and absence or presence of light and all these different sorts of variables, and then it blossoms out into a tomato plant. But what that is, though, is the intention of the tomato plant. So the intention of a tomato plant exists within the unified field, and the seed creates a signature pattern through which the intention of the tomato plant can move from the unmanifest to the manifest. And I believe that intention, then, if that's the case, then intention should be something that is readily measurable. So we should be able to measure the intention of something, just like the intention that created a tomato plant is going to have a different level of consistency and durability than the intention that caused a giant red oak, or the sequoia trees. It's a different level of intention. Because in my hypothesis, then, the greater the intention that manifests something from the unified field into the 3D reality space, the stronger the intention, the more durable the thing becomes. And But I think that that's the part of the equation that he's struggling to find, because what that does, this problem also solves, is that the intention of the redwood tree, for example, somebody like the intention came through, it grew the redwood tree, somebody else chopped it down, but the intention within that redwood tree was still there. So when they chopped it up and made it into lumber, and then made it into shingles, and then made it into whatever, the intention is still locked within the wood. So what we're carrying with us is the original intent of the wood that was rendered. We aren't rendering, a redwood shingle. We are rendering the energy signature of the original intention of the redwood tree, which was then, chopped up into little pieces and divvied out all across the world. And the other thing that this solves is that it allows for, like, the things that are in my basement right now. I'm not in my basement right now, but if I go back there, they're still going to be there. And they're more than likely to still be in the same place, because there's a probability factor that's applied to things which are, in stationary locations. But like right now, there's an intention of a cricket, say, that came from the unified field and manifested into 3D reality as a cricket, and then got into my basement. So that intention, that energy signature of that intention from the unified field to 3D reality currently exists within my basement, but it isn't being rendered in my 3D reality until it starts chirping and I hear it, or until I clean something away and I find its corpse, or something like that. And you can also say that the intention behind the manifestation or the generation of a cricket within this reality is not as strong as the intention of the generation of a human being, because they don't leave lasting impacts. They don't have capabilities of longer thought. They don't live as long as we do. So the intention that creates a human being then is much greater than the intention which causes a cricket, say. Or you could also say that the intention that creates a giant sequoia is greater than the intention that causes a human being. So those are my thoughts on that. I unpack it a lot more in another video, but I haven't actually posted that yet, so check it out. If you're listening to this, go back to my webpage and look for the one on intention. If it's there, then then I don't know. I probably posted this a few weeks ago, because I'm gonna post the intention one probably tonight or tomorrow. So anyway, food for thought. If you know how to get in touch with Donald Hoffman, like always, I'm always counting on the 6 degrees of separation, but I think this is an idea that would help him get past some of the sorts of things that he's struggling with. And I think that it's something that we should start measuring, like finding ways of actually measuring intention. And I think that'll solve a lot of the problems that he struggles with. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not an anythingist. I'm a philosopher kind of guy. But this just seems so simple, And usually the simplest solution is the right solution. So it's probably wrong, but it's worth asking the question. So pass it around. Love you much. Talk to you soon. Bye.